Under the Scope. Hey Scopers, Jared and Shane back with another Under the Scope summer movie review.
Gotta get our fill lights on.
I appreciate that. It's been a while since we've seen a movie of this ilk, summer comedy, if you will. This time around, we saw the movie Sex Tape, the Sony Pictures.
Perfect date movie for two gentlemen.
We love going to see movies that have the title involving the word sex. So, we are here, fresh out of the screener.
Yes.
It's 90 minutes long, a short film, Jared.
It's tight.
Practically,
it's hot.
This will be in the short films category into the Oscars, I'm sure.
Probably.
This film stars a number of people.
Cameron Diaz.
Jason Segel. Or Segel.
Segel. You've got Rob Lowe.
Rob Corday.
Ellie Kemper.
I always forget her name.
Yep, from The Office.
The Office.
And other people. Those are the notables, though. Those are the primary players.
And the story is fairly simple. You've probably seen commercials. You've seen the Red Band trailer, perhaps.
Yeah.
Married couple for a long time, Jason
they
and
were
Cameron.
fantastic at the sex.
Yes.
And then they get married and have a family, and suddenly they can't find the time anymore.
Nope.
And so in order to spice things up, she decides that they should shoot their own porno using one of the many, many iPads that Jason Segel can afford for some reason.
We'll get into that in a minute. Yeah.
And as you've seen, the video ends up in the cloud and distributed to other people's devices, and the hunt begins to get these these devices back and get rid of the video.
A sexy scavenger hunt, if you will.
There you go.
And it is short, it is tight, so there's not really much more plot than that. There's they dabble in some job-related threads, perhaps. They dabble in a blackmail plot.
She's a mommy blogger and apparently is trying to work a deal to sell her blog to some company that's poorly defined at exactly what they are, but they want to buy her blog.
And they do like to offer you finger sandwiches and pineapple, which is very strange, but we can circle back to that as well.
Not the first strange thing in this film.
Yeah, it's an odd little piece of work here. When I watched this movie, Jared, my thoughts immediately went back to a movie we saw earlier in the summer, and that would be The Neighbors.
Okay.
So
interesting.
The Neighbors.
Tell me why.
The Neighbors is a movie that did something that this movie tried to do and failed, and that is mix. Sort of not even a saccharine sweet, but more of a normal relationship story.
Okay.
And then mix it in with an absurd premise, and then put it in a blender and see what happens.
Okay.
And The Neighbors, or The Neighbor, did it correctly. I think if you compare it to it, it found that balance between bizarre and, these people are just real enough, and these, some of their relationship problems that they have are
it's relatable.
It's relatable.
You can if you're a person of a certain age who is in a relationship, and especially if you have kids, I'm sure you can relate to a lot of the situations that they're dealing with.
Sure.
So.
This movie tries to do that, and it doesn't do a great job.
No.
I think that The Neighbors had better acting. I think it was written better, and
a lot of the scenes, to my eyes, in this movie felt like they were improv scenes.
Yeah.
And not in a good way. They didn't feel like scenes that were improv'd on set and then maybe refined to kind of find something that works within the context of the film. They felt like you were watching an improv scene on stage at a comedy club. And, and those can be fun. Yeah. They're great
but you need to have
themselves, but they don't work in the context of a film necessarily.
You need to have the right people doing it. You need to have, if you think of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is a very loose framework of comedy, and then they let these guys go in. The people that are doing that are pros. Cameron Diaz has been in funny movies in her life. She's been adequate to good in them. But she's not someone that's...
A lot of people going against traffic here. Anyway.
She's not someone that can hold her own against Jason Segel.
No, I think she gets a little lost and ends up just kind of coming off crazy.
And I'm be honest with you, I don't think that her acting was particularly great in this movie.
No.
With the exception of the sort of this centerpiece of a scene that they have about 2/3 through the movie, which goes totally off the rails.
You're talking about when they visit Rob Lowe's house?
Rob Lowe.
I don't think it went off the rails. To me, that was my favorite scene in the entire movie.
I mean in a good way. It was
sure.
That it was like this movie had a lot of these weird sort of family, not even family, relationship issues.
Yeah.
and where it wasn't really particularly funny. And then it tried to get a little crazy, and it didn't really work. And then they end up realizing that one of these iPads that has the sex tape on it went to her boss.
Yes.
Or possible boss, who is a very straight-laced, wholesome guy.
The CEO of the company
Yep.
who's trying to buy the blog.
And so they decide they're going to go to his house at the middle of the night, essentially, or late at night, and try to get this iPad, which is just, I mean, it's a cockamamie thing. It's so stupid.
It's completely implausible.
But they get inside this house, and then it just goes apeshit bananas weird, and it was really funny. And
the scene itself, by itself, is the best scene in the movie, and is really funny on its own.
If the movie could have captured more of that weirdness,
right. However, the problem is in the context of the film, the scene doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't.
Other than the reason why they're there, I mean, which is implausible, but at least works inside the film's premise.
And I think it shows you how good Rob Lowe is.
Yes.
Because he was not. I mean, the material there was threadbare, with the exception of some of these weird portraits they have. But Rob Lowe, and I mean, that was really funny. But Rob Lowe really sold it.
Yeah, and he does a good job.
And I think Cameron Diaz, at that point, because she was, taking a little hit of some illicit and legal drugs. She actually
candy.
She was pretty good in those scenes too. I mean,
Sure.
compared to what she was in the rest of the movie, and then Jason was sort of having his own issues, which involved a German Shepherd who was chasing him through the house. So yeah, it was just sort of a strange thing. You talk about product placement.
iPad. Gotta get that iPad. Where's the iPad?
I'm a big
iPad. There's two iPads for you. I don't know, why does he need two iPads?
Aren't you? You're a big fan of Apple. I'm a big fan of Apple.
Yeah.
But even for me,
it was a bit
and
much.
I'm an Apple apologist, it's like insane how much Apple product was in this. It felt so forced. I mean, it felt on the level of a Michael Bay Transformers moment.
That's a lot.
And then they also have a weird little product placement for a real life porn site called YouPorn.
Oh, sure.
Which, like, I'm sort of scratching my head, like, why would Apple ever allow themselves to be involved with that? It seems strange to me. I don't understand it. I'm sort of scratching my head. It's a confounding.
There's a lot of head scratching things in this movie.
Yeah, it's a weird one. A lot of weird silence in the crowd, except for a few knuckleheads around us that loved every minute of it.
Loved to chat about it for some reason. Yeah. So I walked into this movie and I was completely ready to be annoyed by the central conceit in that.
You talked about that.
Yes. So the idea that someone could shoot a movie on their iPad and then have that miraculously distributed to all of these other iPads that they had given out.
That's the worst conceit, by the way.
They did a good job of explaining the tech behind it. They sort of, every time I tried to go, nah, you're not going to deal with this, they kind of dealt with it, like remote wiping, the syncing of data, why he didn't bother to wipe these devices before giving them away.
Yeah.
They did a plausible job of explaining them away. So I give it points for that. I was able to get past the central problem that I saw with the film going in. However, who buys all these iPads and gives them out? At one point early in the film, his assistant or someone hands him two brand new iPads, and he's like, I get two because one's for my music and one's for backups or something like that. And it's never
he's like a music guy, maybe, like in a DJ or
it's never explained what he does for a job, why it pays so much, why he needs two iPads in redundancy. And why he just gives them away.
Yeah. He gave one of the jokes was he gave it to the mailman.
Yeah.
Why would you give a $400 item to a mailman?
It's strange, but without him doing that, you don't have a story.
You don't have a story. It doesn't make any sense. But
it's both a problem and that has to be there. So I don't know how you win that one.
You don't win. You get us analyzing it.
Otherwise, I think I thought the first 15 minutes or so I was very positive. I felt like they were setting up the characters and the situation pretty well. And then the one standout scene with Rob Lowe at his house, I thought the rest of the film was kind of a big mess.
It was flat.
Honestly. A couple of jokes here and there that was fun, some nice little cameos, but...
And even the cameos should have been better than...
Yeah,
the cameo should have been better than what
I think
it was.
they're running uphill in this one, trying to make it work, and I don't think it came together very well.
Yeah, I don't either. So let's stop talking about it and let's give it a score.
The Scope score is 1 1/2 star.
So there you go. Not a great film.
No.
A tiny little silver lining for Rob Lowe, but beyond that, this is an avoider.
Yeah, I don't pay money to see it in the theater. Maybe you catch it on Netflix later just for, like I said, the one standout scene in the middle of the film. So
yeah, if you can fast forward to Netflix. I don't really know how Netflix works. I don't know if they...
you get little thumbnails.
Do they give you like a reel-to-reel for everything and you just zip through it? Or?
Sure. Yeah, you got to go up and touch it. You touch the TV and you spin the reels forward. Yeah, it's very manual, but you get used to it.
Terrific. So avoid it is what we're saying. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Jared, tell everybody what they can do to connect with us.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
That's just that easy. So for Jared, I am Shane. This has been The Scope. Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. The days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying arrivederci. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.